It's me and my tea. And if it is day 6 of Vlogmas, it must mean that it is December the 6th, which means it is St. Nicholas Day. Now, for those of you who don't know what St. Nicholas Day is, or even think that Santa is not real, then you are wrong. You see, it is on December the 6th that people in Europe and in Europe-influenced countries in the United States celebrate St. Nicholas, the patron saint of the innocent, children, and sailors. And fascinatingly enough, a lot of our Christmas traditions come from St. Nicholas. Now, I have a little cheat sheet of my book, so if I'm glancing down, it's only to read some fun facts about St. Nicholas and the things of at Christmas time that are because of him. Now, you might think that he was a myth. Wrong. He was a 4th century Greek saint. And how his story comes about is that his family was very wealthy, and his mother and father would tend to the poor, the needy, and the sick. But sadly, tending to the sick, they too became sick and sadly passed away. And as Nicholas was an only child, left all of the money to him. And so he decided to put good use to it. You could almost say he was one of the first philanthropists of his time. He was renowned for secretly giving gifts of coins in the shoes of the needy. That's why in some traditions, children will leave out their wooden shoes on St. Nicholas Day and wake in the morning to find small presents inside. Now, let's see. You can find St. Nicholas all over Europe, from France to Bulgaria, and each country has their own variation of celebrating St. Nicholas Day. And, let's see, in a lot of German cities in the United States, like Milwaukee or St. Louis, St. Nicholas Day is celebrated as well. Now, some of the traditions for St. Nicholas Day are, like I said, leaving out shoes and having presents be inside, having a large meal with the family, and a lot of the times the father of the house will dress up as St. Nicholas on that day and give the children presents. And he would also go around with his companion Peter also. Now, you're thinking, well, what's that have to do with some of the traditions? Well, how many of us have ever hung up a stocking on Christmas Eve? Now, amazingly enough, this comes from St. Nicholas. See, as the story goes, there was a man who had 3 daughters, but sadly they were quite poor, and so at that time you would have to have a dowry to get married. Well, seeing as they were so poor, the man and his 3 daughters could not afford that, and sadly, if the father were to die, they would be on the streets and probably have to do some very horrible things to get along in life. Now, St. Nicholas, as he was traveling through that town, heard about this man, and being too modest or too shy to give the money in public, and maybe thinking that the man would not accept charity, he came up with an idea to give the money to the girls. So on one night, he went past their house and he tossed in 3 bags of gold. Now, there are different stories about how and where he tossed it. Some say it came down the chimney and landed in the stockings that were drying there. Some say it was through a window and the stockings were drying underneath. But either way, the gold landed into those stockings, and that on the next day they awoke to find the money, enough for a dowry, and so the 3 girls were saved. Now, amazingly enough, oranges have a role to play with St. Nicholas. You see, finding an orange in your stocking, it's not as common as it used to be. It is still common in Europe, but not so much here in the United States. My family personally still does it. But the orange is to represent the bags of gold. Or maybe a more common thing is to wake up Christmas and to find a bag of chocolate coins in your stocking. That too is to represent that story of the gold falling into the stocking and saving a family. Well, I hope some of these facts about St. Nicholas are pretty cool. I mean, anymore, kids these days are saying younger and younger that Santa Claus is not real. I personally still believe. But you know what? He can't not be real because he really did exist. So, I think we should all keep the faith of being generous and helpful to those in need. And whether it be Santa, Saint Nick, Père Noël, Father Christmas, the fat man on the sled, let's all keep our attitudes like him. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed this video about Saint Nick. And that is a conclusion for day 6 of Vlogmas, and I will have day 7 soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye!